is the story, the autobiography as it were, of Lala, the yellow Teletubby. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a very exciting book review, and it is Over the Hills and Far Away, My Life as a Teletubby by Nikky Smedley. So as you can tell, this is the story, the autobiography as it were, of Lala, the yellow Teletubby. I was given this by Sandstone Press, but you know, no obligation to review it, but I just loved this book so much that I wanted to. This, I believe, is published 11th of August, so hopefully you're seeing this on or around the 11th. But yeah, as a 90s child, as a child who on the second, I think it must have been my second Christmas, got a Teletubby. I was a Poe fan, I will say that. But there was a whole saga, and if you were born around that time, have siblings around that time, or children, you had children yourself, you all know the saga it was that Christmas to get a Teletubby, and luckily we had a friend that worked in a toy store and was able to get one for us. It was very much of who you knew and how you knew them, that sort of thing, and what they could do for you to get you a Teletubby. Anyway, I'm digressing. But yeah, so I was really excited to see this. I thought that is something I'd love to read. I love this. This is hands down one of my favourite books I've read this year, and I've really been struggling to read books this year. Like, I've really not been going to pick it up to read as much as normal, but this, like, I wanted to read. And so yes, it's by Nikky, who was the original yellow Teletubby, Lala. And so this book goes through her time sort of being casted for it, where she was at when she was being casted for it, and then it takes you through the whole Teletubbies journey into the early 2000s, and then subsequently when they stopped filming and, you know, a new set of Teletubbies took it over. Let me tell you a little bit about what I loved about this book, and just some of the interesting sort of facts. It really goes into the creation of the program, and straight off I will say her love and enthusiasm for not only the program but her character she created really shone through in this book. And I think that's partly down to the fact she did have so much sort of input in her character. She was really able to have a say in how they spoke and how she obviously moved, because she obviously voiced and was the puppeteer inside. She talks heavily about how strenuous and how sort of she talks about how strenuous it is to operate as the puppet, and really how big they are. What I didn't know is, I mean, you can only kind of see it on the front, the rabbits that they had in the field were those giant rabbits. So on TV they look normal size, but they were massive. And for me, Teletubbies, you all, like, throughout growing up, I've always heard little snippets of things, like when they tore the Teletubbies set down, you know, that was a big moment when the farmer, you know, had to, you know, plough it over and fill it up with water. I think they've done now. And there's been various sagas, like, is Tinky Winky gay and that sort of thing. And it's always been a pop culture sort of icon, the Teletubbies. Like, everyone knows about it. It's pretty famous all around the world, of which she talks about in this book when they sort of broke America and that sort of thing. But she also talks about, and I feel this is all over the place, but I feel she also talks about, you know, the anonymity, how anonymous the character is, because for years they obviously kept their identity a secret, and, you know, if you were just walking down the street even now, you probably wouldn't recognise her or think twice that she was such a famous character. And I think that's what she also loved about it. she now, I believe, works with children, and so a lot of them obviously are aware of the Teletubbies, and these kids have no idea that this person they're watching on screen is actually, you know, their teacher and stood right behind them and such a big influence to them. Like I said, it talks a lot about the intricate details of creating the programme, how the producers went about it. They looked a lot into the children's psychology of it, and they really sort of broke the mould with children's programmes. You know, these are the same people that did Rosie and Jim, Tots TV, they then did In the Night Garden, and it sort of paved the way for children's programs. Obviously you then had the Tweenies, which I loved as well, and it sort of put the children first, in a sense that they spoke a language that no one understood but everyone understood, and it really wanted to help children bring a confidence to themselves and really, you know, be able to recognise what was going on and help with those developmental skills. And they did a lot of research. They had to do like mime workshops as well, to, you know, operate into these big puppet bodies, and yeah, I just found it so interesting. Obviously they talked about the actual landscape and the structure and what difficulties that provided getting to and from set, and when like the Tubby Dome flooded. It also touches on like some of the props they use, like the Tubby Custard and the toast and things they learnt along the way, and how much, you know, seemingly it seemed quite easy on TV, but it was such a labour of love and really a process to get these things to translate onto screen. And I think this book, just front to back, it beams love for this show, and you can really feel that. You can feel how sort of a warm family they were to work as a team, and you know, throughout life they've kept in touch, and just such a strong bond that I think is one of those things in life. You know, you work on a certain show, you go on a trip with certain people, you hold those memories, and only those people that were there will be able to relate and know what went on there, and that really shines through in this book, that it was sort of a monumental time for them. It also sort of touches on obviously the pop culture aspect of it, and how she was really excited when she found out Taylor Swift liked Lala as a child. It also touches on how they had to sort of downset when they found out about 9/11. It talks about the death of one of the Teletubbies. So there are sort of the hard-hitting real aspects of it dotted through. She talks about how she was really pretty much poverty stricken going into the show, and how it really turned her life around for her. And she said, you know, she always felt like a failed pop star, you know, even though she did a set on Glastonbury, and you know, she said, even though she said she was a failed pop star, the only time she got a #1 was with the Teletubbies. So it was all sort of, it felt a little bit full circle for her, and yeah, I just thoroughly enjoyed this book. I would definitely recommend it to anyone that was a 90s child that grew up with the Teletubbies, especially if you're a Lala fan. I have to say, it was Poe for me, but Lala was a close second. And Poe I only, I think, related to because she was the smallest and I was always a small child. And that's something else that she touches on, is how like people instantly gravitate to either Poe or Tinky Winky purely because of their height. So she felt that like Lala had to bring something to get her to be the favourite in the children's eyes. So I think that's all I've got to say on this book today. Needless to say, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and is hands down probably my favourite book that I've read this year. Yeah. Let me know down below if you plan on reading this. I'd be really interested to know who your favourite Teletubby was back in the day and why. And yeah, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future book reviews, and I will see you very soon. Bye guys.